In the evening of the academy, a masked guy wanted to attack a strong guy from the Orca dormitory to take his coin. His opponent fought back using strong magic, but he didn't stand a chance. At this time, students who had been turned into wooden puppets started walking around the academy. The next day, while Mash was making cakes, Lance was talking about how the students of Lupus Magic are very proud and strong mages, and that they can't wait idly. They had to find Lance's lair and take all their coins, but Mash was too busy baking cakes to listen to anything Lance was saying. Then Lance said it had been a month since Mash had been accepted into the Adler dormitory and gave him a cape with the Adler emblem on the back. Mash was too stupid and so he didn't get a chance to put the cape on. Lance helped him and Mash said it was a cool logo. Lance reprimanded him. Because it's not a logo, it's a crest. A logo is a name and a beautiful design. Suddenly, Lemon burst in the kitchen and said that Tom is hurt badly. Mash wanted to ask Lemon to wait, because the cakes were getting cold, but Lemon insisted on going to help. They went to the nurse's station. Tom said he didn't know how he was hurt himself. He only remembered that he had been locked in a dark box that night. He was conscious of everything, but he could not speak at all. He had the feeling that he had been there for dozens of hours. Mash said that the captain was in complete shock and that there was no way to figure it out without a brownie. Lemon asked how Tom was feeling. Tom said he couldn't use magic and couldn't feel magic energy. Lance noticed that there were a lot of students in the ward and was surprised. Tom explained to him that they had the same problem, depletion of magical powers. Nobody understood what was going on. Lemon gave Mash a good luck charm that looked like a brownie. Mash said it looked weird and Lemon slapped him in the face. She asked him to take care of himself and hold the talisman against him while he slept so that Lemon would come to him in his dreams. Night fell, the streetlights went out and everyone gave themselves over to sleep except Lance and Mash. They wanted to investigate this mysterious incident. Mash was worried that it was forbidden to walk around the academy during curfew. Then Finn and Dot showed up. Finn was afraid to stay in the room alone, and Dot wanted to get his hands on the gold coin. Mash felt sorry for these guys and asked to take them with him. Later, they found Lemon and Dot started calling for her loudly. Lance gagged him because he sensed something wrong. Lemon was moving very strangely. She'd been turned into a wooden doll. Everyone was shocked and Dot thought she was still cute even without eyes. Then they followed Lemon but lost track of her. The guys didn't understand where she could have gone if there was a dead end. Finn heard the sound of creaking wood. Dot thought it was a ghost and they wanted Mash to protect them. Lance used a spell and he managed to find a large secret door. It was locked and could not be opened even with powerful attacks. Mash grabbed his knight armor, drew his sword and ripped the door from its hinges using the lever principle. Dot and Finn were stunned by his tremendous strength. Lance said that Lemon and a group of magic Lupus were there and they should fight them. Mash looked at the talisman and remembered Lemon's words about taking care of himself. But Mash knew he couldn't keep his promise in this situation and went along with everyone else. The dungeon turned out to be Lana's lair and it gives them an advantage over all the other dormitories. They searched for Lemon's footprints in the basement of the school and found the light at the end of the tunnel. It was an arena. Mash didn't know what an arena was and Dot said it took Mash a long time to get the information. Suddenly the enemy showed up. He said the arena was too old and some teachers didn't know anything about it. He warned the boys that to go further, they must challenge the opponent by putting coins on the line. Lance was ready to fight, but Dot wanted to go first because he hates smarmy pretty boys. Dot asked his opponent if he had a fan club. The opponent had his own fan club, so Dot got mad because he was jealous. Dot also said he was jealous of his opponent's beauty. But the enemy didn't care that fate had dealt Dot beauty and brains. Dot's friends realized he was about to get very angry. The enemy launched an attack and used plant magic. Meanwhile, Professor Valberg was urgently summoned to the Bureau of Magic, the highest governmental body in the country. The professor learned that 6 dangerous criminals had escaped from prison and brutally slaughtered all the guards. At the same time in the dungeon, Dot didn't know where to put his envy of the handsome man and used his magic against the opponent, but his attack was unsuccessful. The opponent mocked Dot for the fact that he had once lost to the 2-line mage Silva. The opponent said that Silva was very weak and he wasn't worthy of wearing the double magic tag. After all, what was the point of having great power if you didn't know how to use it? But Dot was not afraid and continued to attack his opponent and set traps around him. Dot said he couldn't move or they would explode. The opponent said he was not a fool and would not step on them. Dot was confident in his trap and thought his victory was obvious. The opponent told Dot that his cheap tricks wouldn't work and used spiked plants against him. Dot tried to counter the plants but it was unsuccessful. Dot dropped his wand when the enemy picked it up. Dot couldn't move a finger because of the spiked plants. The enemy mocked Dot and said that his plan of magical markings had failed. When the enemy wanted to finish Dot off, his plant touched the trap and exploded along with his wand. The enemy was surprised that a lowly man like Dot could defeat him. Dot decided to finish off the enemy and used explosive magic against him. After the attack, Dot said that it is impossible to judge a magician by his appearance. The friends were happy about Dot's victory, but after the smoke disappeared, the opponent took a cool pose in spite of his defeat. Suddenly Dot and his friends began to fall under the ground slowly. Mash tried to save the brownie. Lance realized that the enemy wouldn't just let them go, and Finn panicked and grabbed onto Dot, begging him to save everyone. Dot realized that all his friends were just as crazy as he was. So, when they fell underground, they were all separated and placed in different locations with different enemies from Lance's dorm. Lance thought that they were split up to be interrupted one by one. Suddenly, an opponent from the Magic Lupus group called Vert appeared. He was one of the strongest in his dorm. Wirt said that being a weakling was an unforgivable offense. Likewise, he threatened Lance to turn him to dust if he proved to be weak. At this point, Finn and Dot met their opponents, whose names were Cuth and Milo. They were glad that Finn and Dot were one-liners, which made them easier to defeat. Finn was panicking because his opponents were dual-line and he was already saying goodbye to his life. Dot encouraged Finn and told him not to give up before the fight started. Dot started threatening the opponents and Cuth liked the way Dot expressed his thoughts. Mash was also in a room and wondered where all his friends were. Suddenly a voice came out of the darkness and torches were lit. Mash saw a guy in a mask and remembered seeing him in the owlery. His name was Abyss. He said he was glad to see Mash and noted that he had been rather impetuous when they first met. Abyss asked Mash a sensitive question about whether he could use magic. Mash became uncomfortable with such a question and had to lie that he had magic. Abyss noticed that Mash was getting worried, but Mash excused himself and said he was imagining things. Abyss also said that Mash had no reason to worry because society had rejected his existence and added that he had his own reason to fight for a place in the world. Mash prepared for a fight and warned Abyss that he would beat the crap out of him with his fists. To save Lemon, Mash and his friends must fight the strongest of the Lupus magic.